secret files of Teletraan 2.
Hello everyone and welcome to From the Files of Teletraan 2. We are going to be talking comics again. I regretfully, I have started rereading Transformers 2019, the IDW2 version.
Which one was that?
The one we stopped reading.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I decided it was like it. I think it's around issue 30, so I decided, fuck it. It's been about a year since we last touched it. I'm going to see what happened.
Okay, so is this just picking up from where we left off? Or is
No,
this
because I don't
start?
remember anything from where we left off.
Okay, so I wouldn't care to go back. But how is it going back and starting it again? Is it any better reading it?
Well, I've only done the first issue.
So
it's like, okay, I've read the first issue and I'm having the same feelings that I had the first time I read the first issue.
Oh no!
Which is like, this is very poor pacing, but without the I will say, without the feeling of what I had before, which was oh well, we'll give it a chance, see where it goes. It's like, no joy for you. But yeah, so I've been doing that. But we're not doing that. We are continuing on with our general rehabilitation thing. And we are going to be reading Volume 3 of the strangely divided up Immortal Hulk.
What do you mean, strangely divided up?
Because, we're on to this is going to be issue 11 to 15. Normal volumes are, 6 per.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Hulk is weirdly broken up, which also means, like, because they didn't want to do another short volume for volume 3, 2 issues of this are kind of from a completely different story.
Oh, really?
Well, they are. Well, I mean, like, the issue 14 and 15 are from, like, basically the next arc.
Oh.
Which would normally be its own thing.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
just
suppose
connected.
That's true, yeah.
Just connected, because it's like, this is really well written and, like, good focus on tie-in. But anyway, so we left off with Hulk, Jackie, Absorbing Man, and Puck all being sucked down into the hell below hell, essentially. And
Super
hell, where the Uber Devil lives on his motorbike. In this universe, that is possible. But yeah, we open with like a sort of philosophical framing device that gets repeated throughout this arc. Which I'm not going to go through. It's basically just like imagining what hell is, what is the devil, what is blah blah blah, and like a lot of it is framed as you go across to sort of frame the Hulk in sort of aspects of the devil and Satan and whatnot. And at the end you find out it's being said by someone who we will find out about later on.
But not in this trade, right?
No, it's a framing device, basically kind of setting up the next thing. But I just wanted to highlight it because I'm not going to reread it. But anyway, the story starts off with Hulk and Jackie walking across Super Hell, and Jackie's just kind of venting, and basically saying, like, I have to live my life holding myself back and feeling abused and whatever, and you destroy lives and you hurt people and you do a million things, and everyone just sort of lets you get off. Like, they shot you into space so that you could have a happy home instead of trying to kill you. And she feels like she's put on by people like Bruce Banner and like Tony Stark and everyone else. And yeah, Hulk likes what she's saying because he likes the idea, like, anger is something to be used. It's not something to be held back and ashamed of. And that is something I really like because it sort of ties into sort of a fundamental aspect of the Hulk, which is Bruce is ashamed of him.
Well, he is green and he does ruin his trousers all the time, so I'd be ashamed of him too.
He does. But the bonding session is interrupted by the eyeless ghost of Rick Jones, who
Zombie
is dressed
ghost.
Yes. Who's dressed in a very 60s fashion.
Yes,
with a harmonica.
Yeah.
And yeah, we also find out Absorbing Man and Puck realize where they are, and Absorbing Man's back to being himself, and this is where we start bringing in the idea that they start talking about the fact that Gamma is not just science. Gamma has a mystical element to it. And it's we'll get into it a bit later on, but it's dealing with something that's kind of been kind of key to the whole gamma mutate since the very early days, which is the mental capacity. But Hulk is trying to talk to Hollow Rick, as he's calling him, and reaches through his empty eye sockets and feels around.
Yeah, he fingers his hole.
Yeah. But then Jackie's ghost dad shows up as well.
Ruining the fun.
And she is like completely overwrought, and she says, "Have you ever? No one loves you the way my dad loved me. No one cares." It's like, that's really mean. And, and especially like Hulk's first example is the ghost of Thunderbolt Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, he does care about him a lot. Doesn't necessarily like him. But then the ghost like morphs into Red Hulk, because we all want to be reminded of that. They have a bit of a rumble. Hulk overpowers him, goes completely apeshit, and it's the Savage Hulk coming out, and we see
Savage Hulk being normal Hulk.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Sometimes also referred to as Child Hulk.
Because
he's his inner child. Essentially.
That makes sense. Yeah. I guess we see that later in this issue as well, or the volume, I guess.
Yeah. He is basically Banner's purest. Like, that's why he's probably the most moral. In many ways, because children have, like, good is good and bad is bad, and there's no grey area. Yeah. But while Hulk is freaking out, Brian Banner watches because he's trapped his son in a big pillar of light. So before I go on, did you know who Brian Banner was? Did you have any knowledge of him before this?
Well, I knew he was... I knew him from the Ang Lee movie.
I mean...
So it is a version of him, I guess.
It is.
He made Gamma Poodles. That was the thing. Yes. He turned into a big smelly cloud.
Yeah.
I know that, like, I think because you've said it on Moonbase 2 podcast a few times, that he was a wee bit on the abusive side as a Fajwa.
Yes, he was not the nicest Fajwa.
No, but apart from that, I didn't know a huge amount about him, so it was nice to get some context to why he was an abusive boy, it seems.
Yeah. Next issue opens up, the first non-framing device element is a flashback to when Bruce was a kid, and his drunk dad shows up, finds him building stuff he's too young to be building. Out
of not Lego, basically?
Out of not Lego. Out of royalty-free Lego.
Do you know what the best thing about this page was, though? I have to jump in, Mikey.
What?
What I considered a cuddly Fing Fang Foom figure.
Yes!
And I was like, why is there a cuddly Fing Fang Foom?
Why not?
Because he is an evil dragon alien thing who... Had he appeared at this point?
I mean, probably. He's more, like he's ancient Earth type shit.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was very cute. I was looking at it like, why is Fig Fan Foom here? Is he the actual devil?
Yeah, baby Bruce. But with Fig Fan Foom. But so yeah, his dad freaks out and says, "You're too smart. You're a monster. You're a freak, and you're ruining your mother's life. She was happy before you." Something I think is you may not know this, but Bruce is named after Brian's father.
Oh, that makes more sense. Even more so why he doesn't like Bruce then.
Yeah, he hated his father, was massively emotional and physically abusive, and then he names his first child after him.
What could have gone wrong?
Yeah, and then we see him wander away, and we see the baby Bruce pick up his father's whiskey glass and smashing the fake Lego until his hands bleed while saying smash. And the hint here is that this is probably the first... This is the origin of the Devil Hulk.
Or Child Hulk? Because he's Child Hulk as well. Well, Hulk, I suppose, just as an entity, right?
So I will say I am talking with a little bit of foreknowledge.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because there's a follow-up thing with just like he started hearing someone talking to him, telling him to let him kill his father after this.
Was it his mum?
We'll get to that. Anyway, hey. Hulk is breaking everything apart. McGee's ghost dad gives her advice and talks to him, and Hulk calms down, and we basically get a 2-panel summary of why I love the Hulk. Hulk hurts all the time, always. Why Hulk have to hurt so much? Like, something I've always loved about the Hulk is that the thing that always drew me to him from the start, Hulk doesn't get to have a good day. Like,
not this Hulk. Like, this is not the Hulk from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, for instance.
No, this is not the one who made a deal. But
No.
the fundamental premise of when Hulk calms down, when Hulk gets to enjoy life, he changes back.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And so he never gets to go for a walk with his friends. He never gets to enjoy a good movie. He never gets to.
Is this why Professor Hulk really annoys you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, we're going to erase the thing that's interesting and just stick Banner in, which is basically saying like, oh, for fuck's sake, you just made him like every other superhero now.
Yeah, he's just green and strong now, or CG, I guess.
And like the fact they brought in the other Hulks, like Green Scar or Devil or whatever, who all function differently and they can exist for longer or they can take over or whatever. I really like that as well, because it's like all these the child can't fight back. Is what it kind of comes to. Like the main Hulk, the one we all think of, the one they call Big Guy all the time, he can't fight what Bruce is. Like, the Green Scar can take over and be in charge for months or years. The child can't. The adults always win with him, and that's something I really like about him. Anyway, McGee talks him down, and Devil Hulk comes out again, and she basically says like, "Okay, you're in charge of all this. Why? Shouldn't Banner be in charge of all this?" Yeah, and they realize that Banner is gone, and they start heading towards the big green pillar. And we see Brian basically talking to his son and giving the breakdown of his backstory. And it basically, he was really jealous of his mother loving someone else.
Well, I think it was more than just that.
I mean, there's that, like, so the way it basically broke down was that he was a scientist, he was interested in gamma, he was a drunk, and he was obsessed with his wife, and he was also an alcoholic who beat his wife, but that
wasn't said here.
No, but I'm
foresight
bit of framing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because what's presented here is a man who was abused by his father, found a woman who actually loved him and gave him validation and stuff, then saw into this weird green hell, and then he started drinking heavily, and then he was worried that the love he'd got was going to be taken away, and he got a little bit angry about that, which makes sense.
Yep.
But there's obviously a bit more to it than that, which isn't shown here, I guess.
Actually, to be fair, like, that is a good breakdown of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, like, it was a difficult part, and like he's convinced because he was experimenting with gamma, Bruce mutated early on, and like that's why he hates the fact he's so smart.
It kind of makes sense because it seems like the suggestion of the green door kept him, like, he didn't ever sleep right after that. Yeah, and the alcoholism kind of was slowly making him nuts. So it's a somewhat sympathetic backstory, I think, even though he's not a very sympathetic person. You can kind of see how he becomes very antagonistic, I guess, or abusive.
Yeah, like that's what I like, because it's quite realistic, and apart from the green monster.
Well, you don't know that for sure.
The door
to
the door to the Uber Devil. Like, I'm not sure I am a scientist.
You're a paleontologist. You're not a physicist.
True. But remember, in comics, if you have the word science in front, if you have a doctor in front of your name, you can technically do every science.
That is true. There is Doc Samson, who we'll talk about as well.
Or like. Even Endgame, and just like, you're a scientist. Yes, you're You're specializing in physics. Yes, in gamma radiation. Yes, build me a time machine.
Yeah, that's true. Bruce can do anything. It's like, he's not sure Reed Richards.
They also had him. Well, I know for a fact at least one comic or something had him like, my medical doctorate. I'm just like, you don't have
stop.
Very few physicists have a medical doctorate.
There's only one guy in the Marvel universe I could believe could do like most sciences, and it would be Reed or Dr. Doom. And that's about it. Tony's a tech guy. Reed's just, I'm the super boffin, and Doom's like, fuck you, I have magic as well.
Doom, I know all your sciences. Plus, I can make pigeons appear out of the air. But yeah. Anyway, Brian basically puts all the things that he thought went wrong with his marriage and his life on top of Bruce.
Yes.
And then we see him murdering his wife.
Oh, that's him murdering. Okay.
Yep. She is caving. He is literally caving her skull in on the ground because she tried to leave with Bruce.
Oh, wow. And there, once again, is Fing Fang Foom.
Fing Fang Foom sees all. It's probably the real Fing Fang Foom. He's watching all. He's been influencing. You thought he's been influencing the whole thing.
Exactly.
And then Brian kind of projects a wee bit.
A tad.
Saying, it's all your fault. Like, you killed your mother. Mm-hmm. You ruined her life. Me murdering her totally had no bad thing. And then, and then you killed me on your mother's grave, which is something that did happen as well. But then he tries to project. He then sort of goes like, "Oh no, it's a monster. It's not you, Bruce. It's the monster inside you."
Mm-hmm.
And except that it was actually Bruce who killed him, just for reference. Bruce kicked him in the face, and he cracked his skull open.
As you do.
Yeah. So Brian has basically gotten to the point where he's now working for the one below all, as he'll call him later on, and he is going to use his immortal son to basically tap into the third element of Gamma, which is the magical element, and use it to blow a hole in reality to set Brian and thusly the Uber Devil free. Meanwhile, Absorbing Man and Puck are coming out trying to stop Brian, but it's too late, and the one below all starts to form, reaching for the green door. And McGee is like, shit, we're all going to die, he's the end of the world. And I do like this, it's just like, how do you know that? Because he's not the end of the world. I am. Considering this is a depowered Hulk, that's a really cool panel. I really like that panel with the glowing eyes. And also the World Breaker line as well. And then we move on to the next issue, which I'll open up now. Behind the scenes. Fly my eyes. Yeah, and then basically the one below all unleashes hell quite literally on them all.
Yeah, vomits it up, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, he is basically the source of every horrible thing in the universe.
Yeah, but no one likes vomiting. It sucks.
I know, but look how friendly they are. They want hugs.
Yeah, but look how upset. If that was me, I would not be happy to be vomiting up that much, and that's a lot of stuff coming up from you to me.
True. But yeah, Hulk goes to take on the army. He's being overwhelmed. McGee's ghost dad tries to get her to run away. Brian is being kind of creepy and enjoying it. And then turns out even Ghost Rick won't turn on Hulk. Even Ghost Rick. And he turns into sort of monstrous version of A-Bomb from the bad days of Red Hulk. Meanwhile, Puck is laying out the fact that Gamma is half science, half magic, and it makes metaphor people. Like, a consistent thing that the reason none of the mutates from Gamma look the same or act the same really, unless like you have like something like She-Hulk, which is like homemade, is that they are an external reflection of your subconscious. Which is also why She-Hulk is in full control most of the time. Or at least up until more recent stories. Because like she didn't want to let loose all her anger. She wanted the world to see her as a powerful, sexy, intelligent, in control woman.
Okay.
Like Samson was very tied into the myths. Absorbing Man had a thing about taking other people into himself.
When you say Samson absorbed in the myths, is that why he is like, I guess, a version of a Greek personified statue kind of?
Yeah, because he was a very classical like nerd type.
Okay.
And he wanted to be like the myths of old.
Right. Oh, that's cool. So, that's interesting.
A-Bomb wanted.
I was going to say, what about A-Bomb?
He wanted to protect the Hulk. He wanted to be something that couldn't be broken to get in the way of the Hulk.
So he turned into something that was similar-ish to the Hulk, I guess.
But like a big thing like A-Bomb is all about armor.
Okay.
So
he can protection, sure.
He can take the hit for you.
Right. And that's neat.
Yeah. Anyway, unfortunately, one A-Bomb ain't enough to take on the literal hordes of hell.
It's real lucky that they don't really go that hard on Hulk, though.
Yeah, because Hulk ain't really in it at the moment, is he?
No, and yet straight away, A-Bomb loses like an arm or half of his body, so there is a little bit of like plot armor, I suppose.
I suppose you can say. I mean, it is the Hulk even now. I suppose it's plot armor. But like anyway,
it's still cool, though, but yeah.
Creel decides to do some good. He's tired of being used. I like his response. He's been listening to. They showed him Brian Banner's backstory to try and give him an edge on the Hulk, but it just made Absorbing Man feel sorry for him because his dad used to beat him as well. until he beat the crap out of you. And then Creel, as A-Bomb and Hulk are being overwhelmed, Creel makes a move and says like he isn't going to pick a fight because he knows he'd lose. What he's going to do is suck all the gamma energy and Bruce out of the big pillar of light, take it away from the one below all, and dump it all into the Hulk. So he is back at full strength.
I didn't know Absorbing Man could then redirect the energy he absorbed and kind of...
No, I'm guessing this is one of those, hey, it's a comic, here's a new power kind of thing.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
As far as I know, because I always thought it was just, it changed his physical nature.
Right.
In hell, so God only knows.
Yeah,
but yeah, and then Devil Hulk is back, and he is basically giving his not his dad a lecture about like you're the son of the one below all, and Hulk's basically like, your math is flawed because Hulk is Hulk, and slams so hard he blows apart the one below all, Prime Banner, and buys them maybe a minute. Like, this thing is nowhere near done with you. Meanwhile, Bruce's soul is sort of like crying on the ground. Devil Hulk can take them back through the green door, but if the two of them aren't fused, they will both die. And Bruce kind of just wants to.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And then you get why did he make the Devil Hulk? Because he needed someone to love him. Because that is his whole function. He is his father. He's kind of like the father he thought he should have. Yeah. Which is like the parts of his father that look strong, but the parts that were also missing. Like a lot of rage, a lot of anger, and then also love.
It's nice. So, it's like, oh wow, nice Hulk. A little, still a little aggressive. Not very good influence.
Yeah. I was like, I love you, stupid kid. Somebody had to.
Yeah, and then you remember he absorbed a human person. A nasty human person, but he did technically eat him.
And as they point out later on, Bruce was so scared of him, he saw him as a literal monster.
Yeah, we need to talk about that because that's silly.
Yeah, well, this is technically the very first Hulk we see in the comics as well, who all actively tried to murder several people.
Do you mean Devil Hulk? You mean?
Yeah, Devil Hulk was the original Grey Hulk.
Ah, right. Okay.
And all those stories about him as the villain, basically, because he's actively trying to kill people, and Bruce is the heroic, nice guy.
That's how they kind of justify it. Okay.
Yeah, just like, why did he suddenly turn green and nice? Because, it was a different Hulk. I think the second Hulk was actually the early version of the Grey Hulk, like the modern Grey Hulk, the Joe Fixit Hulk.
Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Savage Hulk came in after that.
Right.
Anyway, Hulk manages to pull everyone across, including a few people who were dead, like Sasquatch.
Creel died?
I believe he had, yes.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read the other issues in about 6 months, so
I don't feel that if he did die, I don't feel that
no,
they really
he didn't die.
That.
He got all his powers drained. That's
right. Yeah.
Creel anyway is offered a place in Gamma Flight, and
Yay.
so is McGee, and she's kind of like,
what else are you gonna do with your life, you crappy reporter?
Yeah, Bushwhacker is still there with his weird arm.
Yep.
Spying on everyone, and we cut to Betty, who gets a phone call from Bruce, who is outside in a phone booth. No one has those anymore.
No, almost got his dick out too. Pull up your pants for Bruce.
Bawling his eyes out.
Betty, I don't have any clothes again.
Betty, I'm cold.
My
Betty,
nipples are hard.
Betty, why is there a phone booth here?
It's the Midwest, so
maybe
the Midwests are like this. I don't know.
Well, we should ask Nicole sometime.
Yeah.
And then that is the end. That is sort of wrapping up of the first part of the Hell arc. It will come back.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a major part of the story continuing on. But from now on, it's a bit more of dealing with the personal things. Next two issues are kind of easier to go through because they're less dense. Issue 14 is almost exclusively from Betty's POV. Her father's died. We have his funeral, and there's a quite fun bit where just like, Steve Rogers wouldn't come. Tony Stark showed up and gave a really uninvested eulogy.
Yeah.
Which is basically looking at the coffin going like, really hope he stays dead.
Well, it's because they mention as well that he's died 2 times before.
Yeah. He like again, like I suppose he even if he's red, he's still like Gamma. So
yeah,
immortality strikes.
The problem with this specifically felt like I was meant to know things that it wasn't telling me, like from previous stuff.
Yeah, like I didn't actually know Ross had died.
Right. Oh,
like,
okay.
You don't get how he died or anything like that.
No, there's not even, oddly enough, like a check out this issue to find out how he died, or look at this issue to see what we're referencing here. It required a lot of me. I mean, I just sat there and went, okay, I'm just not going to know this. But it was weird for there to be no reference to any of the comic, though.
I think because of that, this is probably the weakest issue of the lot.
I would agree. Yeah.
Anyway, Fortin shows up, who is a character I know I've seen in something before. But basically he's going like, I knew Thunderbolt Ross, and I'm spying on you, Betty, and I know you're talking to the Hulk. And fuck you. And meanwhile, a bunch of evil scientists are working on a mysterious, like, presumably gamma mutate of some sort, and pulling out their organs, because this is a happy story. Stark also knows she's talking to Bruce and says, like, we need him to come home. He's running away from us. Do you want to ride in Starscream?
That was weird, that whole conversation with Tony and Betty.
Yeah, that was like, one, I think the rain is too I think the art's too heavy here. It's not the standard artist on this issue, but I think the rain art's too gritty.
Yeah, it looks like it would work well for like a Batman story, I think, but
yeah. There's also a weird thing of like Tony's going like, listen, we know us shooting him with a laser strong enough to take out a small county specifically designed to kill him and maybe any innocent people within 100 miles. It looks bad.
It's not that bad.
We're not the bad guys here.
No, it's fine. And Betty's like no.
no, you fucked up.
No.
Anyway, she flies home. Bruce is hanging out the house, and she's got mixed emotions for the rest of this.
Yes.
She still loves him, but she basically, for the first time, kind of, because he hurt her so much recently between leaving her, cheating on her in several stories.
Again, this felt very much like I have no idea what's happening. I was thinking to myself, this is Red She-Hulk shit, which I have no idea about. Yeah,
they mentioned that, and like the Red She-Hulk shit was mostly terrible. But it's nice design. I liked her design, but like, oh no. And like basically she, because of all the damage he did to her emotionally, she, for even the briefest of moments, she now sees him the way her father did. Because she sees him as a selfish person who is hurting her constantly.
That's fair, yeah.
And which is not wrong. Bruce is no saint.
No.
Meanwhile, Bushwhacker is spying on them, looking for a 50-50 headshot, and I honestly don't know why you'd ever try to shoot Bruce at the moment.
No.
I guess it's like we shoot Bruce and then we capture him before he's Hulk, but...
Yeah, but it's even night at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a terrible timing, and apparently Bushwhacker... Again, I don't know if this is a thing from something else, where it feels like he seems to have a really personal, like, I want to kill Bruce.
Do we find out why later on?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read those.
Probably not then, if you don't remember. Because it's not that significant, clearly.
Yeah. But Fortin tells him not to because, like, her dad died and I'm not going to kill her in the same day. And Bushwhacker basically goes, like, I can do it, it'll be fun. Like,
it's it's 50-50. It's a really bad, like, it's not a good odds.
Yeah. And it's like, if you hit the wrong one, you pay for it.
Yeah. Like I want a 90% chance of hitting Bruce or more.
Yeah. I would want to basically be able to see his face and say, like, that is definitely Bruce Banner. Because if I hit her, this will not end well for me. Mm-hmm. But Bushwhacker comes across as kind of weird in this, because he's like, what is it he keeps on saying? I can take him, it'll be a rush.
Yeah, it seemed out of place from the other few times that we'd seen him in the previous issues. It seemed like a different guy.
Yeah, and it's like, he's like, oh, I can take him, it'll be a rush. And it's just like, it's the fucking Hulk.
Yeah,
and
what are you going to do?
You have good bullets.
Mm-hmm.
but it's the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I do like that one where he's going, I can take him, it'll be a rush, and Hulk's like half a foot away, and it's just like, he may have realized this was a bad plan.
At what point does he realize that?
when Samson grabs him and throws him into a tree.
Yeah, that's the only time.
Although we do get a nicely framed shot of Samson trying to calm Hulk down while looking through his brain.
Yes.
So yeah, and then issue 15 follows up from that. We get Samson resurrecting, so it's just like, if you needed any more confirmation that Gamma's come back, they come back.
I didn't know he died, so this was again a bit of a surprise.
Him dying... Okay, so I will give them this, and I do think this is one where there should have been a reference, but he died like...
They suggested he was working with Hydra or something like that?
Okay, so this was a story. This was the story that resurrected... So this was like 2010.
Okay, wow.
So this was a story where like he got taken over... it was in the middle of like Scar. This is the story that basically led into the bringing back of the Green Scar Hulk.
Oh, okay.
And that leading into a book called The Incredible Hulks, which was the Hulk team book. Which liked. It was the Red Hulk era. So, and this was him like empowering Bruce and giving him his powers back. But so yeah, Samson died. Green Door pulls himself out of the ground wearing clothes that he wasn't wearing when he died. I like the idea they buried him in his superhero uniform.
No, he grew them back with gamma powers.
I also like, in this case, his superhero uniform looks really like he's wearing body paint.
Yeah, it's super... Yeah, it's so tight, you can see the veins on him.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, he crawls out of a hole. S.H.I.E.L.D. finds out about him. He tells a few of the people he's back, including a really awkward shot of him and Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I imagine that's how most people act around Captain Marvel.
I know they did that. I think there's like a goofy comic going on with her at the moment, but it's like the way he's pictured, it looks like he's doing that thing where you suck in your cheeks to give yourself the pursy lips, and he's just like, ooh, Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant his butt cheeks.
No. I'm just saying he also has his hand down the front of his pants.
Well, it's in his pocket. It's not like down his actual trousers.
We all know. So he didn't tell Bruce what was going on. In the meantime, Bruce lost his powers again. This is just before he got himself killed, and we briefly see the Amadeus Cho version of Hulk.
Is that gone? Because I remember you talking about that, but not positively.
No, it wasn't a great story. They were trying to... DC was doing like a youth initiative, and Marvel were trying to rip it off at the same time.
Oh, God.
The DC youth initiative also failed.
God.
Quite badly. It gave Superman that black t-shirt Superboy wore and made him cool and angry. But yeah, so this was a Hulk. Like, he had an arm bracelet and he could turn himself into a Hulk. Nowhere near as tough as the real Hulk, but tough enough. But then it like eventually like the Hulkiness started creating an actual Hulk persona in him, and he ended up like draining most of his gamma energy, and now he's just sort of like a tall green teenager.
Oh, cool! Sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's on the new Young Avengers team called Champions, I think. Anyway, after Bruce dies, Samson's feeling like, oh, that seems bad, and meets up with Betty at Rick Jones's grave. They do some catching up, and obviously, you know, it's not good. We cut to the modern day, and a half-brainless Hulk is attempting to beat Samson into the ground like a steak.
Yeah, when did Samson get punched? Because he didn't get punched between this issue and the last issue.
I'm assuming it's kind of a little... Okay, so like since we've seen him, he got punched in the eye.
I guess.
Which was weird, because I feel like you could just sort of have had a shot like that. And yeah... and it turns into like trying to talk down someone with half a brain.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Yeah, no, that was fun. He's like, I like the word that he tries to get. Okay, we're going to use word association here. He goes, smash. Word is smash. You're the Hulk. You smash. And you remember that. And then it turns into Hulk smash. So he's briefly into the Savage Hulk. And he starts saying, Samson, you know me. And like Hulk starts to recognize him. His brain's starting fully forming. And it's still Savage. And he's like, hurt Betty. And then the Hulk has to go back in now, and Devil takes over.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like that he shot her. He's not terribly worried about her because Betty has gotten up and walked away.
It's fine.
Yeah, we also cut back to a story I haven't read, but I do know about, which is like some point after Bruce died, galactic evil Hulk showed up.
What?
some galactic overlord types brought back a Hulk or a new version of the Hulk, which everyone thought. I remember reading reviews of it, and people thought it was that Hulk.
Which Hulk? This Hulk?
No. It was. They thought. When this book started, they thought that the Hulk we were seeing was the one that was created in this, like, cosmic crossover book.
Right. Okay.
It wasn't. Like, they say here, like, I have locked that fucker up and he is never getting out again.
How big is this guy meant to be?
Oh, he wasn't. He was, like, same size as regular Hulk. It's just, like, perspective.
Okay, because the perspective makes it look like he's, like, a Sentinel from the X-Men size.
Yeah.
I was thinking, those are some big trousers they gave him.
Yeah. And Devil basically lays out his thing. He is Banner's dad. Mm-hmm. He loves him. You don't know what love is, though, so they have a bad relationship. We see this is the Devil Hulk actually looked sillier than this in the main comic when he showed up 20 years ago.
What do you mean sillier than this? Do you mean sillier than the weird lizard one?
Yeah, he was a big orange snaky lizard.
Oh God!
And we find out, like, basically it's fully revealed, like, it was psychology. Like, Bruce was afraid of him, and he'd been afraid of him since day one, since he locked him up. So he saw him as a monster.
I mean, it is kind of writing justification because it, like, clearly the writing was like, I come on, little boy, you want me to get out, don't you? It's like, because, he imagined I said that. I didn't really mean it, but you know, that's how it came across.
Because like when Devil, I read that comic and Devil was like, I'm evil and I'll be your friends and
that was just Bruce, like, misinterpreting what he was
saying. What he was actually saying, like, listen, man, you need some help.
I'm your dad, kind of, and I love you,
and I want to murder everyone who looks at you sideways.
It's a weird kind of right around, but it's funny, so I'd let it go.
Yeah, and then basically, Devil Hulk says that. Well, he said it before. He wants to kill, end the world, and he breaks down what that means. He's like, we are fucking up. Like, socially, environmentally, everything else, we have fucked the fuck up. If you break the world, everyone's going to die. If I do it, people will live. It's his perspective. I mean, it's a bit like Greenpeace with a nuke, but leading to a bad joke about, so you're the Green Hulk. Environmentally friendly Hulk.
Yes, I didn't pick up on that. I just read that and thought, well, yeah, he's obviously the Green Hulk because he's green. Now that you say that, I'm like, oh, that's what the joke was. Because I didn't pick up that that was meant to be a joke.
Yeah, when I first read that, I thought what he meant was that, you're actually like all the other Hulks. You're still, like, in your own way, you're heroic. And then I was just like, oh no, it's a terrible joke.
Oh, so not only did it not land with me, but it didn't land with you either.
No.
Okay,
anyway,
that's fine.
They hit the cemetery where Samson met Betty before, and they talk and, like, listen, you're Gamma, I'm Gamma, she's Gamma, everyone's coming back, and so is he. And they point at the grave of Rick Jones, which has been dug the fuck up. And that's where the volume ends. Yeah. So, overall opinion, I really like the Below All story arc. I love mysticism and everything else, and I like psychology, and there's a lot of it there. I like anything that makes the Hulk look cool. I like the way Devil Hulk is portrayed in it. I really like that. I'm not crazy about 14 and 15.
I don't mind 15 because it's a lead-in. I think it would be better served if it was the beginning of the next story. 14, It's
I get the idea. Like, Betty's been on the receiving end of a lot of bullshit from every Hulk story. Like, from simple things like he has sex with interspace ladies all the time.
Same.
Or, as we do. Or, she's died before because of him. Or she's been turned into a Gamma mutant because of him. Multiple. Yeah. Actually, she's been turned into, like, 2 or 3 different ones.
Wow.
And maybe it's good to have a story where, like, maybe she has as much bitterness towards him as he has towards a lot of the world. And that's good, but I'm kind of like, okay, but I don't think it's handled well. I think if it had just been the two of them talking, it would have worked a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think one of the problems was Bruce. Most of the time we spent with Bruce in this book has been with him as a victim. Or him as like a wandering, wish I could do more in the world type. I think if they'd spent a bit more time on the fact that Bruce is quite selfish, and inside he's quite childish, which manifests in his selfishness and everything else, which is it's something that like that's brought up in lots of different Hulk books, that Bruce is not a saint. I think it would have been better because you could have had him like after seeing Brian, you see echoes of Brian in Bruce as he's like making it all about him, and then you have it from Betty's point of view, like this is the man I'm married to, like the world's about him even when he doesn't think it is, or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I kind of like where the Betty stuff does end up going, but I just don't like this. Just felt like the closest this series has come to filler.
Yeah, I think so. Didn't we have all the issues last time we were talking? No, the Avengers stuff I wasn't too fussed on last time.
Yeah,
well, not last time, but the time before that.
Yeah.
This feels like exposition-y kind of filler, I suppose, and not done exposition because it just raised more questions in me.
Yeah, and it like clearly these two issues, because I know way more about the Hulk than you, and there are bits that I felt a little lost on.
Yeah.
And you going into it, none of that knowledge, like it was clearly confusing you in places.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like, what? Okay. I just had to go along for the ride and be like, I'll ask Mikey. I'll ask Mikey when we talk about it.
I can't tell if that's Marvel syndrome or just comic syndrome in general.
It might be comic syndrome. I think, like I say, if all they had to do was put down where the references were.
Yeah,
like,
I suppose like
in reference to.
They usually, like, since some of these are like 10, 20-year-old comics, maybe they're just not comfortable referencing those.
I guess, but then why write a story around them with those references in if that's the case?
Without framing.
Yeah.
I suppose how Samson dies, why he died wasn't as important as the fact that he had died.
True, yeah.
But it's still an element where, like, why are we asking this question?
Sure.
Yeah, 15, I think, I really like the back and forth between Samson and Hulk.
Yes, that's very cool.
It's just, like, the bits, like, the bit after with the bad joke kind of took me out of it. And the bits leading up to it, like, no offense to Samson, and I realize this was them giving us what we just said, like, okay, we've got lots of lead-in and stuff like that. He's not an interesting enough character at the moment for me to want to read 3 or 4 or 5 pages of him on his own.
I don't mind that. The thing that pulled me out of 15 was the preachiness of, like, the humans destroying the world. I'm gonna destroy humans to fix the world's problems. There's a little bit of preachiness here and a little bit of preachiness earlier with the lady talking down to Hulk and saying, how can you do this stuff? We can talk about that later since we're focusing on 15. But yeah, there's just like every now and then a peak in the preachiness, which and I could maybe do a little bit without.
Yeah, I know the writer is very social conscious type, so I think it's something that just comes out in his writing in general. And I actually, like, if you read enough Hulk, you find a lot of writers do like write a lot of social commentary into it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, to be honest. But
sure.
Yeah, what did you think of the first 3 then? The sort of main crux of the book.
I thought that was really good. It was really interesting. It was nice to actually get the conclusion to that story, which we kind of left on a bit of a cliffhanger the last time we got here. The ideas and the philosophical concepts of what was hell and what the devil was interesting. I did think it was a little bit lazy that we were reusing the flashback grey panels quite a bit. Quite a lot, actually. We saw the exact same 6-panel pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times, which was a little bit much for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think if they used different images every now and again, or maybe related them more to Bruce's life, that might have been better, because I assumed the house on fire with the bike outside was Bruce's house, but I don't think that was the case. I think if we had related it to somebody, our cast who were in hell, That might have been a bit of a nicer idea than just generic one. Like people celebrating old lady's birthday did not scream to me, "This is hell."
Yeah.
Because they were all being very nice, and granted, she might want to just fucking die at this point with the amount of candles that were on that cake. But it's like, you know, the other ones were house on fire, woman crying alone on bench with birds, dead bird, cat. I didn't understand cat next to baby, car crash. I get that, but yeah, that I wasn't too great on that. I didn't like her like I said earlier, preaching to Hulk about why do you get away with this? Because I thought to myself, well, technically, yes, he's done a lot of bad, but you could easily outweigh that with he's done a lot more good than you ever could. Right?
Like, the universe exists because of him.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, the stuff that Hulk has done is terrible, but Hulk's value to the world is far better than yours will ever be, because you're just a person. You're just a normal human being like me,
with a victim
compared
complex.
to the Hulk. What's that?
With a bit of a victim complex, it has.
With
to
a bit of a victim, yeah, an understandable. I would say an understandable victim complex.
No,
I get that.
Grounded.
But...
It is very much grounded in reality. It's being.
Yeah.
It's one of those comic book problems. Just like you're trying to frame a really, really important real world issue against a big green monster that can punch out continents.
Yes.
And like that they're just it's saying like, why do you get to enjoy the kind of privilege where you can do whatever the fuck you want? Why I feel limited because of who I am and my race and my gender. And it's just like, that would work better if the crux of this was not a big green monster that could punch out continents.
Yeah, if this was like a lady complaining to Black Widow, I'd go fair enough, because they are way more comparative. A human lady can be the Black Widow, basically. Any human, Arnold Schwarzenegger cannot be comparable to the Hulk. He couldn't even be comparable to Steve Rogers, and Steve Rogers is strong, but he's not Hulk strong.
Yeah,
you know.
You know what would weirdly work if Hulk said this to Thor?
Oh yeah, like, that's kind of comparable in a sense.
Because who is the whitest, most privileged individual, really, in Marvel? And it's probably Thor.
It's probably because he's very childish, or he has been very childish,
and he's
in the
massively
past,
privileged.
Yeah, and because he's from royalty, so that would make sense. And he has an
ego the size of a planet.
Yeah, so that's more comparable.
And it's just like, listen, I go outside for a walk every day, and people try to hit me with a nuke. And you try to tell me what's morally right.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't actually... Now I'm thinking about that. That would not be a bad little discussion to have.
Have they not done that in the past?
They've done... Well, like, usually when they meet up, it's like one of them has to punch the other. And usually it's like... I haven't read many stories which is like an intelligent Hulk with Thor.
Right, so Devil Hulk hasn't really talked with Thor before.
No,
it's
Devil
usually
or...
like Savage, right?
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
I don't think he's even met Green Scar.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think he has.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, that a bit more of a comparable thing. But I think it's understandable again where she's coming from, and I like the fact that there is this talk about how to deal with your anger. I suppose that's quite nice. That's quite a fun little conversation. I learned a lot more about Puck than I ever did before, because all I knew about Puck was he was Canadian, and he had a very silly outfit, and it was basically from that one 90s X-Men show where Wolverine goes back to Alpha Flight for like a few seconds, and that's it. That's all I knew about Puck. So when he said, when I was 5, I killed a bear, I kind of raised my eyebrow and went, I guess it's a comic, but okay. Because, you know, fair enough. If you want me to buy that he went out at the age of 15 and killed a bear, okay, 5? Man, you can barely get to the toilet when you're 5. You know.
He was born for greatness.
I guess, but Jesus Christ.
People scream to the mountaintop the legends of Puck.
Yeah, but if he's like this small at the age of however old he is, how big was he at 5? He had
big
no
enough to take out a bear.
Yeah, clearly. He must have been fucked in a traps. Jesus.
Well, he had a big mustache as well. Big mustache baby.
Oh my god. I felt it was weird how Hulk fingered Rick's dead eye socket, but you know, whatever. I like how they communicated with him, but only in the phrases of the past, but still kind of got across the message. I thought that was quite fun.
Yeah, I thought that was neat.
Thunderbolt Ross being there was, I guess, a reason just to have a fight.
Yeah, I did like. I like how Hulk's reaction was like mine. Just like, is he dead?
Yeah.
And then they fell up with, yes, he's dead. I feel this needed to be set up beforehand.
Yes, I wasn't sure what was happening there. I guess this was the start of... Maybe they could have told me a little bit more about what was happening.
Yeah.
That was the start of it.
But Red Hulk. Everyone wants to see Red Hulk.
He ripped him in half. That was kind of funny. But then he turned into just a load of ribbons. Not really flesh, but ribbons, which was weird. But no, the crying Hulk, I thought was probably the highlight of the comic, of the volume. That was really good. And I really liked the backstory on Brian? Yeah, Banner?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian Banner. I thought that was really cool. And Fin Fan Foom reference was quite fun as well.
Yes, which I'm now convinced is actually Fin Fan Foom.
I can only hope.
He's just like, I will live inside this child's room, waiting
forever. He's trapped. Tony trapped him in there. Yeah. No, I would definitely say that the 3 issues were the strongest half of the comic, and then it kind of went back to okay, the epilogue to the next interesting part of the story, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the next part is. I haven't read it in so long. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to catch up. But yeah, so I've got nothing really to add to that.
I mean, what you enjoyed it? I'm assuming then.
Yeah, no, I think I still think Immortal Hulk is a fantastic book overall. I think this is hitting those peaks and troughs that every story will have.
Sure, yeah. Not like a bad drop either.
No,
it's just it's the calm. You've had your roller coaster ride, and you're going, "Woo, this is calm." And
I think it's one of those moments where these are all great ideas that I just don't think came across the way intended.
Yeah, I think they probably could have done a better job spacing out the issues in the trades. I think that might have been a better idea as well.
Yeah, no, I think whoever designed the trades for these should probably reconsider.
Yeah, like the first the first volume should contain maybe a little bit of the story, and the last volume should have at least contained all of the hell stuff in one go.
I would have said have the Betty story as the epilogue here.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because then you'd still it's only 2 issues for the from volume 2 that you'd have to bring in.
Okay, that'd be fair.
Because volume 2 could end on him being in the lab, breaking out of the lab.
Yeah, that would have worked.
And then you have the absorbing man element, and then bleed in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Immortal Hulk still good. Nothing's perfect, but still good.
Yes.
So I say we'll end it there, guys. Thank you all for listening. We are going to move into the Patreon section where we're talking about Atomic Robo and the Flying She-Devils of the Pacific, which is a sentence I never thought I'd have to say out loud. But yeah, if you want to hear that, guys, you can sign up to our Patreon for $2 a month, and you'll get the extended episode of The Files of Teletraan 2, and you'll get the Moonbase Woo-Woo, and you'll get any interviews or anything else we do early, or any extra shows, or anything really that we want to give you that's a bit special. If you got any feedback, Twitter is Moonbase2, the email is moonbase2@gmail.com. We've also got Facebook, Libsyn. Obviously, if you're on Patreon, you can message us wherever. You can message me on Irish Paleo on Twitter. And yeah, Andy, what about you?
Find me on Twitter at CCTFW, YouTube is Cobra Commander TFW. You can find us, like Mikey said, in the places that he said. We're also on YouTube as Moonbase2 Transformers Podcast, the ccbunker.weebly.com, and you can find me on Twitch as well as CCTFW.
Yes, where Andy is now suffering his way through a game he barely understands.
Yay, Digimon! Digimon monsters.
I'm surprised I haven't heard you go are these the Pokemons?
I think I made that joke earlier on in one of the first few streams I did on Digimon, so you can't keep going with the same joke over and over again.
Oh, if British comedy is taught as anything, yes, you can.
I thought you were going to at least say American comedy.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Every single show made by the guys who've done Father Ted since Black Books is the same show.
Oh, yeah, I never watched Black Books. I remember people talking about it, but I was like, I liked it. No interest.
But I liked it because I knew the main actor for years. He's really prominent Irish comedian. Anyway, guys, thank you all for listening. If you're on Patreon, stick around. And if not, we will see you next time.
Bye.